And now, in studio, bringing his Midwest values from the Show Me State to the land of San Diego. He's a triple threat, licensed as an attorney, mortgage broker, and a top producing realtor who's crushing the competition. Here to deliver you what's happening in the trenches of the market. Your host, Michael Gaddis.
Welcome to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170 The Answer. I am your host, Michael Gaddis of michaelgaddis.com and frontierloangroup.com. I am here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. to discuss anything and everything related to real estate. Now, last week when I was talking, I think Paul and I were having a discussion last week about kind of the ability to put your listing on the radio. We talked a little bit about that after the show, I think, and one of the things I mentioned last week was that if you list your house with Michael Gaddis Realty Group, I have the ability to put it on the radio. And I got, yes, go ahead, Paul. Oh, Paul was back there looking like he wanted to say something. So what happened was I got some people who contacted me and said, well, what good is putting a house on the radio? Like, you could talk about it, but no one can see it. And here's what I want to tell you. When I talk about your house on the radio, whether I do it myself or I invite the seller into my radio show to discuss, their home. And the reason sometimes I put sellers on is because who better to talk about your house than you? I mean, when I have listing appointments and I go in and I talk to people, it's literally amazing to me how their eyes light up when they're talking about the house that they're about to sell. And, they're like, well, I did this, and I put this in here, and I spent, I did this myself, and, I planted every plant here myself. A lot of times that passion carries through. So sometimes if I see that I have a really passionate seller, I'll ask that seller to go on the radio show with me and to talk about their house. And, I'll have them discuss what they think are the best features of the house, what they've done to the house, things like that. Now, if a seller doesn't want to go on the show, they don't necessarily have to, because I can do it myself. Obviously, I can paint a description of the house. I can talk about its features. And, the good thing about radio versus some of these little videos you see online from other real estate professionals are that when on the radio, we can kind of go more in depth into things that you can't necessarily on those little videos. Most of the videos, the video tours you get of these, are just put to, basically generic music. They just put your pictures on it and just kind of, overlay it with that. And for me, the best bang for your buck is to come on the radio, talk about it for about 10 to 12 minutes. Then I will have my in-house graphic designer. Yes, that's right. I have an in-house graphic designer who is amazing. And what he's going to do is he's going to overlay, 3D renderings, aerial pictures, visuals of your house, statistics, everything. He's going to put it over. So when the editing is finished and we upload this into an MP4 and put it onto YouTube, you have the radio background talking about the house overlaid by amazing graphics of your house and details of your house. Now, that's an amazing tool in and of itself, but it's what we do with that video that makes it even better. The National Association of Realtors stated that over 91% of home buyers look to the internet at some point during their home search. Now, that's amazing because most people are searching the internet. So in order for you to really have a good chance of trying to sell your house, you need to have a good internet presence. You have to have a marketing plan that includes internet and social media. Most real estate professionals these days do not. What they do is they're going to put your house on the MLS, have a few open houses, and hope to God it sells. That's what they do. And when you ask them, well, what's your online plan? They're going to say, well, we're going to put it on Zillow and Trulia. Let me let you in on something. Everybody gets put on Zillow and Trulia. That is nothing at all substantial. If you truly want to have a good online presence, you've got to go above and beyond what's standard with the MLS. It automatically populates most of those online home search sites. And there's a couple others you have to fill out a form to do, but that's not very difficult at all. That's pretty standard with all real estate professionals. So they don't have an online marketing plan if that's what they're telling you. What they want to do is just put it on the MLS, hope it sells, and if it doesn't sell within a certain amount of time, you know what they're going to tell you? Hey, I think we need to lower the price. I think we're overpriced. You know why they're going to tell you that? Well, because one, they probably shot the price up above in the beginning just to get you to list with them. And two, the house is not selling. They're not marketing it. Marketing means getting it to people. They're not getting it to enough people to see. Now, I will tell you, there are some communities out there, and a lot of real estate professionals rely on open houses. And there's a lot of real estate professionals that rely on open houses strictly for how they market your house. Well, some communities, especially up in North County, are beginning to come down on open house signs. The communities are basically making it very restrictive for agents to put their signs up. Well, once they do that, how are you going to drive people to your listing? You can't have the signs up anymore unless you get people's permission. It has to be within 10 feet of a sidewalk or city-owned property. They're making it very restrictive. So how are you going to get people there? Well, first of all, you should never just be relying on street traffic alone to try to get people to your house. So you need to do it a different way, and that's through using social media and using the internet. You know, when we do our show on the radio and then we come back and we repurpose it by adding in all the visuals and the data, then we boost it on, through social media channels, it gets in front of so many people. And that is what gives you exposure. When you advertise an open house and boost it with a video like that, the result is amazing. Your turnout is exponentially higher. You're actually doing something. That's what you're supposed to be doing, right? You hire a real estate professional to do something. You don't just say, okay, if you want to do that, you could just put it on the MLS yourself. Or put it on something, do something. I mean, you're hiring a professional to give you advice and to help bring you maximum exposure. That's what you want, maximum exposure. And you're not going to get that by just having somebody who's just going to... And the reason they do that with these open houses is because in the old days, they used to use newspapers, open houses. They do things like that. Well, we're evolving as a society. We're no longer relying on those types of marketing. In fact, if you read the National Association of Realtors statistics, they have a home buyer and seller generational trends report that comes out, and this will break it down percentage-wise for each age bracket on where they're, how they're looking for houses, what types of media are they using to search for their homes. For example, I know there's a particular company out there that loves to go and promote. They're going to put you in their nice fancy magazine, right? They're going to take your home and they're going to put it in this fancy magazine. I will not name the magazine. They're going to put it in there. Do you know, according to that National Association of Realtors report, what percentage of homeowners, one, utilize that magazine in their home search, and two, how many of them actually found their house, their eventual house, by using that? There wasn't a number there. There's an asterisk. It says less than 1%. So putting your media dollars and your marketing dollars into that is not an effective use of your marketing budget, if they have a marketing budget at all. Because I'll tell you something, one of the benefits, you know who benefits out of that, your home being in that fancy magazine? Do you know who benefits? They do. Because then they take it to the next listing and say, hey, look, I've got this house in here, and this is where I'm putting my houses. But I'm a numbers guy. Everything comes down to analytics. And when I look at reports and it tells me where people are looking for houses and how they're looking, I listen to the numbers. And the numbers are swaying towards the digital world. And you have to hire an agent that is very proficient in those numbers and in the internet. If you don't do it, you're behind the times. You're no better. You might as well just, put a sign out in front, open house, sit there in a little lawn chair and hope somebody, happens to drive by. Because that's not what people are doing nowadays. They're locating them online. And when you locate them online, you better have a very impressive visual representation of your house. Because if you don't, what are they going to do? Click, next, next. You have probably, 15, 20 seconds to get their attention, maybe less. Your pictures, as I mentioned in the last show, better be professional grade. You cannot have, if your guy shows up there, if your real estate agent shows up there and he's taking pictures on his cell phone of your house, I think you need to reevaluate your listing agreement. I mean, he should not be doing that. He should be putting some skin in the game. You know why he does that? Because it costs money. It costs money for real estate professionals to hire a professional photographer. That usually comes out of their pocket. I pay for my own professional photographer when I get listings. I don't ask you to pay for him, I pay for him. That's part of the risk I take. That's why you're paying me the money that you're paying me, is because you want me to do something. So I have professional photographers. Why? Because I thought years ago that I could take pictures like a professional photographer. Years ago, I said, you know what? That guy has a Canon 60D camera. I'm going to go buy one of those. And I invested in this overly expensive, camera. And I went and started taking pictures of houses. And you know what I discovered? I can't do it like them. I could literally have the same camera and have a professional photographer sitting right next to me. We could take the same picture at the same moment of the same corner of the house. And I guarantee you, 100 times out of 100, you could tell which one I took and which one he took. And that's because he knows what he's doing, right? He knows about lighting. He knows about all the little features of the camera that can really enhance it. I don't. So I don't pretend to be a photographer anymore. And I don't want to put that as part of my marketing campaign. And I don't want you to have to settle for less. So that's why I do it. So the importance, again, just to reiterate, the whole purpose of this whole segment was basically to talk about you could put your house on the radio and why it will make an impact to you. And we kind of got tangential with all the, the National Association of Realtors statistics, but in general, in summary, I could put your house on the radio, I could talk about it, I'm going to turn it into a video, and I'm going to blast it everywhere. I'm going to make sure everybody and their son in Southern California sees your house. After the break, we're going to talk to a financial planner. You're listening to the Michael Gaddis Show on AM 1170, The Answer.